Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris W.
I'm Chris P.
And I'm Chelsea, bringing up the rear.
And today we have just an interesting one for you guys. I think every year we talk about the NFL draft in some form. We get some reasonable takes, we get some things that go right, and we get some things that go horribly wrong. And so this year, as you can see, Mr. Crispy seems to have a big grin on his face, um, because he will be sharing his hot take about the number one pick. We don't know what he's gonna say. We don't know what he will unleash on us this episode,
It's
but
really no telling.
there is genuinely no telling. So, yeah, we can get into it. But first, how are you guys doing today? How's everybody?
Doing good. Looking forward
Doing
to the
good.
draft tomorrow.
Nice,
Pretty
nice.
good, pretty good. I have an idea. An
What about you,
idea.
Chris? Are you feeling crazy with your draft projections? As
My
crazy as Chris or as mild as me?
Well, considering the team I'm covering, I don't really know if there's anything crazy I can say that is actually rational.
That's
So
fair.
we'll just get right into it. So we're gonna just dissect a few different draft projections here. Now, Chelsea is going to cover the Colts and what she thinks they're gonna pick, and I'm gonna talk about the Panthers and what they I think they'll go for, and then Mr. Chris here will share his pick at or his hot take at the end. So please stay tuned. I think it's gonna be pretty great. So
We
without
have
further
high
ado,
expectations. We
we
are
do.
in we have the same amount of knowledge about it that you guys do. So we're going to be hearing it the same time you do.
True. I mean, look at his background. It's literally on fire. So I mean,
Yeah, dude is coming up with some crazy ideas in that brain of his.
okay. But let's not wait any longer. So Chelsea, the Colts have had some success last year. Obviously, the past couple years with drafting. I really think that just man, if you guys kept Andrew Luck with these draft picks, like Super Bowl team, very nearly won with him. So
Yeah,
I
Wiles just wants to hurt me. He's just
I'm not
straight out of
trying
the
to
gate.
hurt
He's
you. We're
just
not
trying to hurt
trying to
me.
hurt. I'm just trying to
I'm
be
just
honest
playing.
and say
No, you're
that
you're right
they
though.
took
Andrew
forever
Luck
to
retiring
finally get
destroyed
an
us.
offensive lineman.
Yeah, that
But
and a quarterback and everyone else.
exactly. But Chelsea, what are your draft projections for the Colts this year?
Okay, so the Colts pick at 15, which is right in the middle of the draft. Not top 10, not bottom half of the draft, just kind of in the middle, which describes us as a team last year. We were pretty middle of the pack the whole year. Um, Really, I don't think that we have too many glaring needs, which is uncommon. I feel like the last couple of years there's been multiple glaring needs, like glaring needs. And this year, I don't really feel that way, which is a definite change from the past couple of years. So there is a bunch of smoke going up around the Colts right now. There are people saying we're going to stay put. There are people saying we're going to trade up. There are people saying we're going to trade back. There are people saying we're going to trade up to 4 and take Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, really, there's a plethora of opinions that are going around about the Colts right now. So I kind of broke it down categorically into, what I think we would do in each situation. So just need wise, I think our biggest needs, we have a huge need at tight end. We have 4 tight ends on the roster, and unfortunately, they're all mediocre, which is a real shame. I think some of them have potential to be a good tight end too, but none of them have proven nor shown the ability to be a true tight end one. Like I'm talking like someone really good, like a Kelsey or a Kyle Pitts or something like that. Like I miss Dallas Clark, who played with Peyton Manning back in the good old days. Like we haven't had a tight end like that. I mean, Jack Doyle was pretty good. Jack Doyle was good during Luck's era, but I mean, Dallas Clark was on another level. Like we need an impact level guy that can spread the field and be an easy guy for our young quarterback to target. So I would say tight end is probably our biggest need. Outside of that, I think we need more corners. Um, Chris Ballard is shockingly confident in our secondary right now, and fans do not seem to be in agreement necessarily with Chris Ballard. I'm kind of in the middle. I think that We're getting some guys back healthy. We had some guys that were good last year. We had a lot of young guys. We didn't really sign much veteran depth, at least not yet. I'm not super high on our cornerback room, but I'm not like thinking it's going to be terrible. So I think cornerback is a need. I think receiver is a need, but I don't necessarily think high end receiver is a need. I'm talking like receiver three. Like I'm going to give Alec Pierce one more year. He flopped as a wide receiver two, which was unfortunate because we picked him so high in the second round out of Cincinnati a couple of years ago. But he could potentially be a really good three, which would be great. But if you can grab, a wide receiver two-esque guy, second round, or even a wide receiver one-esque guy and, bring your whole room up a level in the first round, I'm not opposed to that. I think that we do still have a need, and I think we need to surround Richardson with as many weapons as possible. So I do think that those three positions, tight end, cornerback, and wide receiver, I think are our primary like big needs, quote unquote. Outside of that, just kind of looking at depth, I think we need O-line depth. We have some O-line guys getting older. Ryan Kelly is getting older. Braden Smith can't stay healthy, so I'd like to get some more depth, specifically at the center and right tackle positions, but really across the board, you can never have too many linemen. I mean, they just go down like flies during the season. Outside of that, I think we could use some more safety depth as well. We did re-sign Julian Blackman, which was that was good for us. We needed to re-sign him, but I think we could use maybe another one to just kind of back up the depth. And then I think we could use a linebacker. I think that could be of benefit to us as well. I like our linebackers now. I really don't have any issues with them. But again, one of those positions that kind of just go down out of nowhere. So you really can never have too many. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. Looked at a lot of drafts. I've looked at a lot of fake drafts, looked at a lot of mock drafts. My husband is notorious for making his own drafts. Draft day is arguably his favorite day of the year. So he's been telling me all kinds of things about, all the teams and the Colts and stuff. But what I'm kind of thinking is we pick at 15. I think if we stay at 15, we either go receiver or corner. I'd like to see Brian Thomas Jr. or Terrion Arnold being picked. I think they would both be there at 15. I think that Brian Thomas would be a strong wide receiver two candidate. He was really good at LSU, and Terrion Arnold is coming from Alabama. So he has, a pedigree. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for if we stay put, we don't accept any trade offers, we don't move at all. That's kind of what I'm thinking, either receiver or corner. So if we trade up, I think if we trade up, it would be for Brock Bowers because we have such a big need at tight end. In order to get him, we would probably have to trade up to 9. So that's 6 spots. I am hoping that we could trade up to 9 just by giving up a second round pick and our first. However, I don't know how greedy teams are feeling this year. I really don't know if I would want to trade more than that. I don't know if I'd want to give up a second and a third. I don't know if I'd want to give up a second this year and a second next year, or a second and a starting level player. Like, I don't know. So it just kind of depends on the offers that we'd be fielding. However, I do think that if we do trade up, that it could be worth it regardless, because I think Brock Bowers is one of the best tight end prospects we've ever seen, like better than Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts was hyped when he came out of college. Dude's really good. And he would be such a weapon with Jamison Tyone. I'd love to see it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking if they trade up. There's a lot of smoke around us trading up for like Rome Odunze, or someone like that. I don't really foresee us trading up for a wide receiver. I think if we traded up, it'd be for Bowers because we just re-signed Pittman. Josh Downs had a really good rookie season, and we have Pierce in the 3, and we have a bunch of depth guys behind that I'm relatively confident in. So I feel like if we trade up, it's gonna be for Brock Bowers. I don't think it would be for like Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze or something like that. Now, Chris Ballard has established himself, unfortunately, as someone who likes to trade back a lot and get extra picks. And I'd be very disappointed if he did that during this draft because I feel like there's a lot of really good talent right where we are. But I do think if he does trade back, that he'd trade back, recoup, a second or third, something like that. And I think they'd pick up Cooper DeJean, the corner from Iowa. He kind of fits Chris Ballard's pedigree for the types of players he likes to take. He's tough, he's gritty. He was really good at Iowa. So I could see that being the case if we trade back. Not that I'm opposed to an extra second or an extra third, but I mean, I feel like there's a plethora of talent right where we are. So I'd really like for us to stay. I really don't want to see us trade back, but we'll see. I feel like Chris Ballard knows that his butt is kind of on the line this year. Um, the Colts haven't made it to the playoffs. Richardson got hurt. I really think that if the Colts don't make the playoffs this year, that Ballard could potentially get fired, which I don't agree with. I don't think you should fire him. I think he's a relatively good GM, even if he doesn't pull the trigger on the biggest needs. But I think he knows that he needs to make a splash this year. So because of that, I don't think he's going to trade down. I think he's more likely to trade up. And then, I had to create a category for this. It's called if they decide to be insane category. Okay. There is an absurd amount of smoke around a comment that Jim Irsay made about trying to trade up to 4 to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, anyone who knows anything about the Colts and their history knows that Marvin Harrison, the senior, played for the Colts and is the best wide receiver the Colts have ever had in history. He played for Peyton Manning. He won a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Played with, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, the whole deal. And he was a legend and he's very good and he's in the Hall of Fame and every Colts fan loves him that watched him play and even ones that didn't know his name. So it would be the coolest to have his son in Indianapolis. However, I don't know if I'm willing to pay the price tag. I just don't. I mean, to move up to 4, we legitimately might have to give up 3 first-round picks. Like, I think Marvin Harrison is worth 3 first-round picks. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's that good. But I don't know if I want to sacrifice 3 years of draft capital when we have other needs and Richardson is still relatively unproven. Like, I just am not really comfortable doing that. As much as I would love to see it, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Jim Irsay is just out here spouting out comments like he does. It's just kind of his thing. I don't really take it that seriously, even if it's coming from a reputable news source. It actually came out today from Fox 8, which is a very reputable local news source in Indianapolis. I don't foresee it happening. I'd be more likely to do it if someone was like, give us a player and, a pick, give us a player and 2 firsts. If someone was like, hey, give us this year's first, next year's first, and Michael Pittman, do I want to do that? Not really. I mean, I don't really want to trade Michael Pittman, but I mean, I would do that over giving up 3 firsts because I think Marvin Harrison's a wide receiver 1, and I think Pittman's a wide receiver 1. But all that to say, I really don't think that we're going to do that as much as my Colts loving heart would love to see it. I'd love for him to go to Carolina, but there's no chance of that. So if he goes to the Cardinals, he's in the AFC or in the NFC and he can't hurt me. So that's okay. He can stay there. I'll cheer for him. That's fine. There's also been some recent smoke today, actually, of the Colts being a contender to trade for Brandon Ayuk. Trade away our first pick, presumably, and probably another first-round pick, and probably something else to trade for Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is really good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't want him on the team. I think he's a good player. I mean, I think he's probably a top 10 wide receiver, if not top 15 at this point in his career, based on last year. That's how good he is. I'd just rather draft someone. I don't know. I don't really want to trade for him, even if he is that good. I'd rather draft someone, they be good, and they be playing on less money. And, I'm guaranteed to keep them until their rookie deal is up. So, I mean, I don't really see that happening. But I will say there is a precedence for these kinds of trades happening. The 49ers and the Colts swung a trade a couple of years ago during the draft for Buckner, who now is a huge part of our team, a cornerstone on defense, a veteran leader. So it's not to say that there is not a history of the 49ers and the Colts doing massive trades on trade day or on draft day. There is a precedence for it. But even in that same vein, I just don't foresee it happening. If it were up to me, what I suspect is going to happen, I honestly think that we might trade up for Brock Bowers. I mean, I think that he's that good. I think they like him that much, and I think we have that big of a need. I could see it. I think Ballard knows his butt is on the line, and he knows he needs to do something. And I think for once, he might trade up. If he doesn't, I think we'll stay where we're at and probably take corner. But I'd love to see Brock Bowers on the Colts. I'd buy Brock Bowers jersey. I'd be living my best life. So I mean, I'm not opposed. We have a huge need. He fills it. It's a weapon for Richardson. I mean, you really can't get much better than that. We also need running back depth. Take a guy in like the 6th round, maybe someone to back up Jonathan Taylor, behind a couple of guys we took last year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think there's a lot of directions the Colts could go this year in the first round. But I think the smoke around Brock Bowers is real. I don't think he falls to us. I saw a mock a couple of hours ago by Daniel Jeremiah that had Bowers falling to us. I don't think he makes it past the Jets. I think the Jets take him. And that'd be great if he fell to us and we didn't have to give up anything. But I don't anticipate that. So, Chris Ballard, better do something, buddy. I don't want to see you fired, but other people do. So, in your own best interest, you might as well just trade up for Brock Bowers just to get it over with, just to keep us all happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing, Chelsea. So I feel like, so what you're saying is ultimately they're just trading everything to get to the number 1 pick, right? That's what they need right now.
Yes, that's definitely what I'm saying.
No,
We need Caleb Williams, obviously.
here's the thing. I actually think, I mean, the Colts obviously weren't that far off from making the playoffs. I mean, one drop
Without
pass,
Richardson.
really. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in some regard, maybe they definitely maybe need some help at the receiver, but I think overall the team is in good hands. You just have to put good pieces around Anthony Richardson. You have to make sure that he's protected and that he has good targets to throw to.
The
If he's
most
got the speed, he
irritating
can make it
part
work.
The most irritating part about that game is that it was a 3rd-string running back who dropped that pass. Like, it wasn't even a starter. It was literally a 3rd-string running back.
Very
Which,
questionable decision by Steichen.
Maybe they won't see where we're coming from. Like, I get that. But, like, I think Steichen is a good coach, and I think Richardson's going to be good, but Richardson needs to be smart, and Richardson needs weapons. And I think Brock Bowers fills all of those needs.
Yeah, I think the Colts will be fine as long as Richardson stays healthy. Like he seems pretty good, so I think he'll be all right.
Here's to hoping.
Yes. So, all right. Thank you for sharing that, though. So now we've got. I guess I have to go.
Indeed.
I guess my team does have to pick. So here's the thing. They should have the number 1 pick. Of course, they do not. In fact, there is no first round pick here. And the Bears are living high right now. They're living good. So, what do I think they should do though? So, the Panthers do have 2 second round picks. So here's the thing. I think that they need to put decent weapons around Bryce Young. I think that really needs to be the focus. Look, they've signed some guys. They've made some moves in the offseason. Not terrible moves. I'm not upset about them. But I think just moves that aren't going to be game changing for Bryce Young. They are better. They did upgrade. But are they necessarily going to be world beaters now because of their receivers? Probably not. I heard this the other day, and I think it's fair. I don't love this, but it is probably the way that it is right now. The Panthers made the wrong pick at quarterback. As far as who's better, Stroud or Young, right now, it is clearly Stroud, and they messed up. Like it sucks for Panther fans to maybe hear that, but that's the way that it is right now. Now, hear me out. That does not mean he can't be good. That doesn't mean he can't get better. That doesn't mean he can't do a lot of or get to that point where Stroud is. Who knows? I don't know. But we have to look at this honestly and say, you ask any NFL fan who's better. What are 100% of people going to say? Maybe there's like 1% of some Bryce Young stands out there. Now, I'm not blaming them for necessarily getting it wrong because truth is quarterback is a crapshoot. Nobody knows who's actually going to be good and who's going to be bad. As much as people say they know who's good and bad, look at Zach Wilson, number 2 overall pick, and nobody wants him on his team, or he's out of New York now. New York thought he was the savior. He's cut in like 3 years. So that's why I am not saying that Bryce is bad or anything like that. Hear me out. I think some people are gonna take that and run with, oh, he's bad. I just mean that right now that's how the Panthers ultimately it's been. But now here's the thing. I think Bryce Young with some help can be pretty good. There's some receivers that the Panthers are looking at. I think honestly their two biggest needs right now are receiver and defensive end. They need to replace Brian Burns and they need to replace DJ Moore. Are they going to find guys as good as them? Probably not in 1 year. Um, it's really hard to find that. If they do, great. I mean, the Saints built an elite defense not too long ago in basically one draft. They just hit well. They hit on people like Marshawn Lattimore. They got Alvin Kamara. You know, they basically turned their whole team around in a single draft. So is it possible? Yes, but that's a very rare scenario. Um, so what I'm looking at right now is I think they probably go receiver with their first. They are the first pick in the second round, so they do have that. They have number 33.
Which
I
is
think
basically a first round pick, if we're being honest.
it's very close. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I think that they will probably their two most likely is the defensive end in my opinion. I linebacker is a possibility. They haven't truly replaced Luke Kuechly since he's left, since he's retired. Which you're never going to fully replace him, but at least get somebody that's, can be a Pro Bowler in that position. So I would say either middle linebacker, defensive end, or wide receiver. My gut is telling me they're going to go with a middle linebacker or some type of linebacker because I think right now missing Brian Burns, some people may not think this, but it's kind of a bigger it's a big-ish deal. Look, some people tell you, and it is true, Brian Burns didn't play great last year. He didn't have a great year. But if you look at, what he honestly said, it was like I felt a little bit like I was holding back some because I knew if I got injured, that's going to greatly impact my future income, my future contracts. That may sound selfish to some, but I'm going to be honest, probably 95% of us would do the same thing, especially in such a dangerous sport like football is. Um, so I think he's going to be just fine on the Giants. Good Lord, they paid him so much money. It's kind of ridiculous how much money they paid him. But the Panthers need a guy to replace him. They need some sort of defensive spark. And they lost Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu is a very, very important piece on that defense and might end up being an even bigger deal than losing Brian Burns. Losing one of them, you can maybe live with. Losing both is really, really bad. So that's where they're at right now. I don't love Panther fans just blindly supporting Dan Morgan and saying like he's fleecing teams and all of this. Like he is doing an okay job so far, but I still think it seems like they've really focused on the offensive line. They put like $100+ million on the offensive line. Respect, because that they were getting destroyed on that. So I don't really think they're going to worry too much about drafting O-line maybe late in their picks, to be honest, because they've signed so many linemen, big name linemen to a lot of money. They're really trying to make sure Bryce Young is at least protected. So it is clear to me that they are focused on him. Dave Canales is very well known for turning okay quarterbacks into pretty good. Like he really turned Baker's career around last year, and he turned Geno Smith's career around in Seattle. So we're hoping the same here. Um, but yeah, I think what's going to happen is probably the first second rounder is probably going to go to a defensive player. And then the second one, 6 picks down the line, probably go to a wide receiver. Um, they could, I guess it's possible that they change that up, but I'm going to be honest. I think that defense is it's a big hole right now. I mean, they got Jadavon Clowney, but let's be real. Clowney is a good player. He is not going to elevate your entire defense to an elite level, though. He's not going to be, you know, your top 10 edge rusher. He's going to be pretty good. He's always in like top 15, top 20. He is not a bad piece to have on your team in any way, shape, or form. But he's not going to transform the defense like a Brian Burns was doing for you. So I think that that's where they're going to go. That's the direction they'll lean towards. To be honest, I think later round picks are important, but I feel like like 90% of the time, they don't really work out. I don't tend to focus too much on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks. It's not that they aren't important, they are. It just feels like so many times they don't work out. And look, the Panthers, they need to focus on getting that right. But to me, I feel like I'm most interested in what are you going to do with these 2 second round picks? This is what you've got. This is unfortunately what you've inherited from the previous management and the previous team. So what are you going to do with it? Um, I really think this year it's not going to make or break Bryce Young. It's not. I don't think it is the year to say, all right, he's a bust or he's not. I think he really, really, really needs to show improvement. Like if he doesn't show any improvement or very little improvement, there's going to be some serious questions depending on where the Panthers end up in their draft next year about, hey, should we keep this guy around? You know, we've got the number 3-2 pick. So what should we do with that? There's this hot new prospect that's coming in, you know. I mean, that's what the Bears have done with Justin Fields. He showed some improvement at times, but ultimately they said, all right, we're going with Caleb. Well, we don't know if they'll go with Caleb Williams, but it's like a 90% chance they probably go with him. Now that I said that, it's something crazy is going to happen. Alluding to Mr. Chris's um hot take about the number 1 pick here, which he just gave a big old glance to the camera. So I'm really thinking, though, that this year, these 2 picks are their most important picks. Everything else is important too. Look, we all know John Brady drafted in the 6th round. Da, da, da. Every team's heard it. Every team had a chance to draft Brady. So it could be the next GOAT is in this draft. I have no idea. And I know 5 years from now, we're going to look back and say, how in the world did you leave such and such player on the board and they were taken like 7th round or something crazy? But my evaluation is they really need to hit with these 2 picks at least, because you've lost a lot. You've had a lot of turnover. And if you're going to actually get Bryce somewhere and get him going in the right direction, you have got to hit on the players that you pick to be on your team. It is, in a lot of ways, no one knows who's truly going to be great and who's not. It's all guesstimations, right? You're guessing who you think is going to be the best. Because the jump from college to the NFL is just massive, and it's just not for everybody. But that's kind of where my opinion lies with it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it, but I feel like that's kind of where I want to leave that.
Who do you think they go with at receiver?
There is the guy that some people are saying from South Carolina, which
Xavier Legette.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a lot of smoke on Instagram around him to the
what's
Panthers.
what's hilarious is that anytime people who are guessing where, like fans of the Panthers are guessing where a player will go, like who they'll pick, I feel like it's always some South Carolina player, North Carolina player, Clemson player. Like it's always a homebody. It feels like they're never saying, oh, we need to get this guy out of Cal or, you know, something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Legette is going to be pretty good, I think. I mean, I don't think he's on the same level as like, you know, a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Rome Odunze or, a Malik Neighbors. But I mean, really anyone is better than what you have now. So I mean, I could see it working out.
Exactly. I think, look, they could get better at receiver. Like or they could do better. Look, Deontay Johnson is an upgrade. When they traded
That
for him,
that's true.
it was an
That's true.
upgrade. Is he going to be amazing? Uh, I have no idea.
Him
Probably
and
not.
Thielen are like fine.
He is our number one receiver. That is just a
Yeah.
fact now.
Yeah.
Um,
You know
Deontay
what is
Johnson.
possible?
Mm,
Because Thielen really has expressed desire to not stay with the Panthers. I mean, it's possible they could try and flip Thielen to a contender for maybe a third or a fourth round pick. Maybe you could get another receiver with that as well.
you think that a team would trade that? Maybe. I mean, it's
I mean,
possible.
maybe not. Maybe if they were like super desperate. But I mean, imagine Adam Thielen on the Chiefs. Bro would go off, even if he's 30.
He would have the best hands on the team other than Travis
Yeah,
Kelsey.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you can catch a team at the right time with the right amount of desperation, you might be able to get, a fourth round pick for Adam Thielen,
Exactly. Well,
even though
guys.
he is an aging veteran. But hey, a girl can dream.
Well, guys. Yeah, let us know what you think about that. So, all right. I think the time has come. I
Dun dun dun
think
dun 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 dun. Dun.
I think Mr. Chris, it's time to unleash your wrath upon this
We
episode.
have no idea what he's going to say, so we are going in blind like the rest of you.
All right. So, uh, as y'all were going through the hot takes of what y'all's teams were going to be, I'm more of a analytics or a dude and wanting to see what the actual picks we have. And so instead of doing a hot take, and I did the top 10 as to which one projection that I can see um these go, since I did chant Daniel Jones to go to the Giants and he did go to the Giants.
He
So,
did get this
you
freaking
know,
pick right, and
so
it
That's fair.
annoys
He
me.
did.
I thought I might as well predict what's going to happen this year. So
Oh, okay.
obviously, Caleb Williams will be picked by the Bears and will be locked in as Fields is no longer there. So that is a locked in moment. That is something the Bears will not. There's no trade up with that. Um, Second, uh, is Washington, and I know they had Sam Howell, and I know it's like, oh well, they have new staff and you know coming in. So that being said, I was like maybe they do get Drake May, or maybe they do get McCarthy, and but no, no. We're not one of those people picking Drake May. They're not going to risk it yet again another North Carolina quarterback to draft. And McCarthy, yes, there are rumors, oh well, this is going to happen, but I don't think he's going to get second. So Jaden Daniels, I think, will be second. Washington will pick a quarterback this year, and believe it'll be Jaden Daniels. Now, third, I know there are some Patriot fans listening as to some wide receivers. There's the thing about wide receivers and the quarterback. And honestly, it's either pick Drake May as your person. I don't think McCarthy. Is it McCarthy? How you say it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
JJ McCarthy.
I don't think he would be the best fit for the Patriots. I think Drake May would be. Yes, it's another quarterback that could be like Mac Jones, but I believe that it's either Drake May or you trade down, to be honest. And you just tank for this year going into the next. You are in the rebuilding stage. You went through the dynasty. Let's actually get ready and prepare. So, which I could see Marvin Harris Jr. going there, but also that is a terrible place for him to
Please,
go there.
no.
That would be
I
terrible
would
for him to go.
die.
So that being said, I don't think I don't. It's either Drake May or trade down to someone. Um, with that being said, Cardinals. Uh, I projected them. They need a wide receiver. Like they need a wide receiver. They need some sort of help on offense because goodness, I mean, either I projected Marvin Harris Jr. or Brock Bowers. They are also needing a tight end badly as
I mean, they do have Trey McBride.
yes, but I think having those two would be good. But I also think there's a higher projection for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be selected, to be honest, than Brock Bowers. With that being said, I think the Chargers will pick a wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. I think that'll be a good pick with them as Keenan Allen is no longer with them, and Herbert is screaming for a wide receiver now since he cannot target him anymore. And
And Mike
then,
Williams is gone.
yes,
They
so
really have. Their wide receiver one is Quentin Johnston,
yeah.
who was the worst rookie receiver last year out of the first round.
So that is that I also can see if the Chargers get whiff that if Patriots are willing to trade down, the Chargers will probably go ahead before the Cardinals and probably pick and switch with the Patriots to get Marvin Harrison since they know the Cardinals will probably pick a wide receiver to help Kyler Murray. And then from there, the Giants yet again in the top 10, and it's kind of funny because I was looking at them and they're a rough team. They're trying to find a quarterback. They're trying to figure out an O line with their system. And so but they don't have a wide receiver at like anyone from
Mm,
Slayton and anyone like that. So with that
yep.
being said, I think Rome Dunes, is that his name, or
Oh, Dunze.
Dunze will be either selected or Graham Barton in picking a good O line as they need some sort of help and some sort of need with that. So I think they will protect either get a wide receiver or some sort of O line added to their system along with the Titans. Now I know you really want Brock Bowers, Chelsea. You want to trade up real bad, but I don't think the Colts will have it in them, unfortunately. And if this happens, I think the Titans, unfortunately, will pick Brock Bowers as
It's
they
possible.
as they are trying to build something around their team as they don't have a running back system anymore and Will Levis is throwing, so they need to target with someone. And as they can see now, Laporta was a big as a tight end last year was a big pick. So the Titans might go with the tight end saying, hey, if Laporta did well, Brock Bowers might be well in our system too with Will Levis. So I think that would be a good pick for the Titans, along with um, Falcons. If the Giants do take a wide receiver, I think Graham Barton will go there. The Falcons will need to bolster their sort of O line, or some sort of something like that. So I could see the Falcons taking that along with the Bears. The Bears yet again have a number two picks in the top 10. And honestly, I think they'll trade it away. They'll trade it away. And you know who they'll trade it away to? For T. Higgins. T.
T.
Higgins.
Higgins.
Bears will get T. Higgins. And if the Bengals offer T. Higgins to the Bears will give that away. And
They
then with
would be
that,
loaded at receiver.
correct. And so with that, I know the Bears would be willing to do that if that was a possibility.
T.
Um,
Higgins for the that's
yeah,
such a high price.
it is a high price, but it is something that they also would be willing to give away since he's offered once a trade. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he will get traded in this draft, but that is a projection in my sort of idea if the Bears get whiff of that. Now, that's a very slow chance for it to happen. And I put down Quinion Mitchell as he will be picked if the Bears do not trade away this pick. Um, and then the last one, uh, the amount of jokes I made with the Jets. This is great.
Bro.
I project that the Jets will actually trade up with the Patriots for Marvin Harrison Jr. to bolster the wide receivers to help with Aaron Rodgers.
They're gonna
Um,
trade up.
trade up to the third pick for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Chris is wild and this is
I don't
crazy.
think they'll pick a quarterback in the later rounds, and they know that Drake May or JJ is not worth it for that third or to be in the top 10 for them as they have Aaron Rodgers coming back. But Aaron Rodgers is his last year to his contract is coming up. And so with that, they want to push as hard as they can, or prepare for another quarterback in the future, for possibly trading. Or I also put down Dallas Turner, for a possibility for them to draft if they stay with that pick. But those are the top 10 pick projections that I will say, and I believe they are true, and I believe that the top three will happen, and then the top 4 and 5 will still happen. The other half five, I hope they happen. I really hope T. Higgins does go to the Bears, and T. Higgins balls out with DJ Moore, Caleb Williams. That would be a great team, but I don't think that would happen. But Quinton Mitchell would be a great asset.
Dude, they
Bro.
would have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and him,
That'd be
and Williams,
insane.
and Cole Kmet.
Dude, why are
And
they
they
not
would have
doing this
DeAndre
now?
Swift
Why are they
also.
not doing this right now?
That would be insane.
I'm gonna be
And then
honest. I would do
Caleb
it.
Williams is gonna flop. No, just kidding.
Dang, if
I
he
w-
was a
I
bust, it'd
did
be over.
I'm
I will
kidding.
I will I will
Kidding.
say I don't like Caleb Williams' style. I think he is just another Justin Fields moment, and how they developed Justin Fields went downhill. And I will say that I could see him being a flop. I don't think it'd be as flop as Bryce Young esque, but I will say it don't. I don't believe he will be like a top 10 quarterback. I think he'll be a 15, 20, but I don't think he'll be the top of the top, unless they get actually help him develop. I think they were a little bit too short with Justin Fields, bit rushed with him. I think with Caleb Williams, they need to take it slow and ease him into it and not scare him, because I think Fields got scared and was playing hard and lost sight of the vision. So I think that's why they were just short with him and just say, "Hey, we're just going to give you up." I think he would have been great, um, honestly, if they could actually keep Justin Fields. I think he would have been good if possibly getting Marvin Harris Jr. But unfortunately, they moved on. So
Thing is, though, I am wondering, right? Is T. Higgins actually on the market? There's a report that he wants to trade, but we really haven't heard much of anything. I think there's been offers to teams.
I mean, the
Um,
thing about it is that, they're gonna have to pay Chase too. And if they're gonna pay one, they're gonna pay Chase over
mhm.
Higgins.
Yeah,
They're not gonna
that's
be able
Joey's
to pay
best friend.
both. I mean, they're just not gonna be able to pay both. Chase is gonna want $35 million a year, probably.
I will say T. Higgins is good. I think with this, I think yes. Here's the thing: you can request a trade. That doesn't mean you're going to get traded. By the
Mm-hmm.
way, you
That's
can be
right.
the most unhappy person ever. They're still not going to trade you. That's something that yes, he might be using this as a way of a political thing, as to hey, you're getting these offers and they're like bad offers, pay me the bag and you'll see more. So this is more of a political move, and especially since he just did it before the draft. So allows the Bengals to assess, maybe cut a few defensive pieces off so that we can have a good offense.
Well, I
So
don't,
But
we'll
I
I
mean,
see.
don't.
the thing about it is they're going to be able to leverage him. Like if they're going to trade him, it's going to be now because they're going to get the best deals for him now. Because you're going to have teams like the Chiefs, teams that are Super Bowl contenders, you're going to have teams like the Bills that need receiver, that have
Well,
talent, that are trying to compete. So I mean,
Okay.
and I'm not saying the Bills are going to be good this year. I know they lost everyone. I'm just using them
Oh,
as an
the
example.
Bills.
But like you're
Okay.
going to
But
have contenders on both sides of the league that, they might not believe in any of the young guys. They might not have a high enough pick. So, I mean, if there is any time for them to trade him, it is now. That's probably when they're going to get the most value for him versus in 3 weeks once the draft is over and everyone is already content with what they have. So it'll be
Okay.
interesting to see
Yes.
if he gets moved as a chess piece. I'll be very interested to see what happens.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I don't know if this changes any of you guys like thoughts, but their Pro Bowler defensive end for the Bengals, Trey
Trey
Hendrickson,
Hendrickson. Yep.
just requested for a trade today. And
Also,
that's confirmed.
yeah,
So I
within
don't
like the
know.
same hour.
Yeah, and what makes me wonder, Chris, when you say that, are they tempted to move up? Like, will they? Maybe they will say, okay, well, if we're gonna lose this guy, we gotta trade up. We gotta get another defensive end. Now they say they're committed to getting a long-term deal with him, but we know how that goes. Come on, that's just corporate speak. We know that what teams say. Let's just be real, guys. For any fans who don't know this, when a team says that kind of stuff, ignore everything they say because it means nothing until you actually see what they do, whether it's
Okay,
on the field or,
hear
so
me
I'm
out.
just curious.
Hear me out. Give up your first, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson to move up to 4 to take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Then
That
now,
would
okay,
be
For
crazy.
one guy?
that's too much.
Yeah.
I don't think
Well, they want 3 first-round picks. I mean,
I don't think the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals would be willing to do all that. I think they'll do a top 10 pick, but not a top 3 or
hey, I'm
top
just
5.
saying that'd
That
be
would be
crazy.
because that's giving away way too much of what they think they can get in a Super Bowl run. They want something that they want to give leverage to T Higgins and swap their pick, and they're going to use that as leverage. And honestly, if I was the Bears and if I heard, oh, I'll give up T Higgins and we'll swap picks for the ninth, I'm doing that. That's a crazy sort of deal. Now that, like I said, that is a very hard deal because I don't think they would want the Bears to have T Higgins because they know that that's a young team and that might create a dynasty. So they will go away from that. But I can see it with other package deals going along over time. So I don't, like I said, T Higgins, that is a good front, but like I said, it could be also in the later round of like, well, if you don't get traded in the draft, what does that mean for T Higgins? So that might make T Higgins a little bit scared as like I have to play next year. So that's what I would. They might intimidate him a little bit. I think I would if I was the Bengals, I would intimidate him because you have probably one of the two best wide receivers out there for that area regarding T Higgins and Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. I mean, that's an unstoppable duo, So we'll
So
see.
hear me out. I don't believe in the smoke around this at all, but I have seen people talking about trading T. Higgins and multiple firsts to the Vikings for Justin Jefferson and having Jefferson, Chase, and Burrow all on the same team. Now, do I think that this will happen? No. If they did that, would they be able to pay them both? No. It would be Chase taking a pay cut because Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league. But I saw that online and I was like, bruh, that would be the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's like the LSU team together again, reunited. That would be insane. I don't think it would happen, but I saw that and I think my brain exploded.
I don't
All
I
right.
don't I don't think that would happen at all. That's way too much. And also, I mean, you get a wide receiver, and but that's the thing. It's very interesting and hard, especially since you have Justin Jefferson with a contract already, and then T Higgins is coming around with a contract, so they're gonna have to also throw the bag at that, and that's very with the Vikings doing that. Yes, that would be great for them, but also it's like it's not worth it in their eyes because it's like we're just getting the same thing again. We just need something better. So I don't I really yeah, I mean that can circulate as much as it can, but I that's those chances to me are 0%. I don't think that will ever come to fruition, especially with the amount of stuff that they would have to give up. Um
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it would because I don't think the Bengals could pay both of them and still have a team. Like you would have to give Justin Jefferson probably at least $35 million a year. And if you're going to give him that, Chase is probably going to want at least 30 million a year. you're not going to be able to pay anyone. You better be glad you already locked down Joe Burrow because you wouldn't be able to pay him either.
Yeah. And I will say this though, they can restructure Joe Burrow's salary to help and possibly get more money. So like to be honest, like I mean T. Higgins right now he's creating a $21 million cap, right now for 1 year since they
Which is a
took
lot for a
that.
wide receiver too, which is probably why they're considering moving him. Because for a wide receiver one, that's cheap.
Yeah.
But for a wide
Um
receiver two, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but you also have to understand their cap space is around 23 million right now, which, over time that's not good, but like I said, if you restructure Joe Burrow's and a few other people's contracts, I bet you they could squeeze in both T. Higgins and Chase if they promise, "Hey, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to put all in. If you trust us, you're going to get a ring." And I think T. Higgins, I think if you convince him to do that, I think he'd be willing to do like a 2 year contract and cut it down and say like, all right, if you believe in it, show it. I can see them doing a 2 year contract and seeing where it goes from there. And that would also help with Jamar's case too. They probably would do another 2 to 4, most likely 4 with Chase. But T Higgins probably a 2, unfortunately, and or trade. That's the thing. They'll probably either a 2 year do it with that contract and then trade him away with that just in case. So
And the
that's
thing
a
about it
safety.
is that their window is going to close eventually. I mean, their Super Bowl window has already been open for what, 2 or 3 years? I mean, inevitably, it's going to close. Even with Joe Burrow, you're not going to be able to sustain the same level of AFC championship play that they've been sustaining. Like after 5 to 7 years, their window's going to close and you're not going to be able to do anything. So, I mean,
I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think
look
the
at Josh
Bengals.
Allen. Their window's dead.
Oh, wait, okay, but they gave up. They gave up, and I also think there's some other things with that too. But that was not a good thing. But with Joe Burrow, I think he is a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's beaten Mahomes. He's done it. But I think don't count him out. That's the thing. Like if you have some good wide receivers around him, he can get to him. Just
Hmm.
let him rest. Just be able to get him some time in the pocket, and he's going to zip it to them. And so that's what that. Don't count them out. If T Higgins, I think they have a good team around them, and don't get me wrong, like they don't have much more of a running game right now. Of course, they also um they have
They have
Gasecki
Zach
too.
Moss.
So what?
They have Zach Moss.
They do have Zach Moss, but with that being said, I really don't think this is a potential for T. Higgins to capitalize and show I'm worth it. Um, so they might just hold on to him, and say I'm worth it, pay him an amount of money, and pay Chase and cut a few key pieces on defense. Honestly, because at this point, you're also we have to go to the fact that the NFL is shifting to more offensive heavy than defensive heavy, and I think with Joe Burrow and his talent, they're going to score down the field. So why not invest into your offense, then put more money into defense? Because if you're going against someone that's like Will Levis, you're going to outscore him because he won't be able to throw those perfect passes, right? Compared to Joe Burrow, and you also have two wide receivers are probably some of the best duos out there working well. So what can you do? So that's what I would think of as to the new rules coming to play next year. So that's
Hmm.
my hot take.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that is definitely spicy. You
Chelsea,
cannot
you sound
disappoint.
quiet. I don't know if that's just me or.
Sorry, I was saying Chris did not disappoint. That was definitely spicy.
Yes, thank you. We always appreciate your hot takes. All right, but I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for today. Great episode, guys. This was very informative, filled with spicy takes, and hopefully we'll get one or two of these right. I want chaos in the draft. You know what? What if the Bears just trade away their number one pick? I want pure chaos. That would
I
be wild. The
you
city of
well,
Chicago will burn,
They
but
actually trade back for Justin Fields during the draft.
they're like, never mind, we want you back.
Never mind, we were wrong.
But
I will
yeah.
I will
What, Chris?
say, I will say, if that happened, that would be crazy. But if all these predictions does happen, Wiles has to do a giveaway.
I didn't say that.
No,
Okay.
that
All
It
I
right.
has to be
agree.
perfect though. It has to be perfect.
Wiles is outnumbered 2-1, therefore he's giving something away if
I
all of
didn't
these are
say that.
correct.
All right. Anyways, Chelsea, do you want to lead us out of here?
Yeah, but first, I have an announcement. If you guys have not seen, we created an official Launch Codes Football Discord server. With the
Woo.
draft coming up tomorrow, it's going to be a great place to get on there and kind of talk through what's going on. If you guys want to join, DM us on Instagram and I can send you the link, or one of us can. We have a bunch of channels in there. There's some people in there already that are pretty passionate about the draft. Chris is going to post his 10 pick mock in the Discord server to get thoroughly analyzed and dissected by our favorite draft analyst, my husband, Conlon. So if you guys are not in there yet, definitely join. It's going to be fun trying to build a community of people that are consistent and really interested in our content on a day-to-day basis. So again, if you guys are interested, hit us up on Instagram, send us a comment or a DM or anything of that sort, and I can send you the link. But that is all we got, guys. So thank you for listening. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter, or X as it now is, at LaunchCodesFB, and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at LaunchCodesFootball. I'm Chelsea,
And I'm Chris W.
And I'm Chris P.
and we will see you next week. Happy draft!
Bye.